Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Josh and Kim Escape, a way more limited series than we initially thought it would be. The idea was we were going to go to more escape rooms and review them, but I don't know, things happened. We just haven't. We've been to some, but haven't had a chance to review on them. But the first ever escape room we ever went to, which is in Titusville, called Unlock the Adventure Escape Room. We did a video on them for two other rooms called, what was it, The Manor and the Escape the Storm.
Escape the Manor and Survive the Storm.
Survive the Storm. So we did those two, so you can see that review. It was more of just where we talked about it. This one we are going to do the review format the same as we did for the Annabelle the Red Door one. So we're going to actually give things a score. But they opened a new location like 2 doors down from the current location. And this one's called Dare to Dream. And it has 2 escape room choose your own adventure journeys you can do.
Yeah.
One more about nostalgia and one more about your nightmares. So it's kind of like 2 sides of the dream, the good nostalgic dream or the dream where you can't wait to wake up.
Right.
So, yeah. So Titusville in of itself is definitely like a little small little town. Mm-hmm. It's a cute town though. I mean, it's nice.
It is a cute little town. Yeah.
There's a Sheetz real close by, so when you're done escaping, you can go get deep fried food and coffee.
Which we did.
Which of course we did. Anytime there's a Sheetz nearby.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things of haunt season as well. Is so many of the places in PA, and there's almost always a Sheetz. So it's midnight, and you can go get a deep fried box of mac and cheese. How many deep fried cheese things can I put into a box for myself?
Really? Yeah. And now they have the premium one, so you can get fancier stuff too now.
Kim likes to get the cheese curds with cheese to dip her cheese in cheese.
Nacho cheese.
But
yum, yum.
Yeah. But that's our mini review on Sheetz. You didn't know you were getting that. You should go. It's great, and it's way better than Wawa.
Oh.
I don't care what you say. If you think Wawa's better than Sheetz, you're wrong.
No.
But yes, so it was very nice of them. They invited us out, and I'm super upset with myself. They sell these shirts, but ours is a custom one, and I might zoom in on Kim's chest here. Ours is special. It has a little skull bulb in the lock. Yeah. I meant to bring mine, but I did not, so I made sure at least Kim wore hers. But yeah, they're really cool, and they glow in the dark, so make sure you buy some merch there. They're nice glow-in-the-dark shirts.
Yeah.
But so how we're going to be doing this review is we're going to be reviewing the 2 escape rooms just in this video instead of separate, because we'll kind of explain why that makes more sense in a second. But at the end of each section, we're going to be giving our score for each room. So we'll be talking about each room in each section, and then at the end give separate scores per room.
Yes.
So the first category, so we have, and again, since we've only ever done this format in one other video, our categories for the escape room is theme, fright level, challenge, and then just our overall thoughts. And again, so especially for fright level and challenge, if something is a low score, that doesn't mean it's bad.
Right.
We decided to do that because some escape rooms you'll do out there are not scary at all because they're not meaning to be that. Some are.
Right.
And we felt like it's important for people to kind of know if you like being scared or not, where it is on that.
Exactly.
Because there's definitely a lot of similarities between an escape room and a haunted house, especially when it comes to theming and lighting and just things like that.
Right.
But so our first category is theme. And so I guess real quick we'll touch on why I said it makes sense that we're doing these together. So regardless of which one you choose, and we're going to, by the way, try and keep it very spoiler light, but we have to talk about the rooms and the themes.
Yeah.
So if you want to know nothing at all, literally at all, if you plan on doing it, maybe watch this video afterwards, see if your thoughts compare to ours. But again, we're not going to be spoiling any of the puzzles, just basic theming and stuff like that.
Yes.
And kind of what to expect. But anyways, that being said, it's they call it a choose your own adventure escape room.
Yes. So when you book the room, you have to choose whether or not you want to do moments in time or face your nightmares. And so each of those rooms starts out in one singular room. Mm-hmm. Things are slightly different depending on which one you choose. If you choose the dream or the nightmare, the room's going to be slightly different. And then once you solve the puzzles in that room, you go on to the next room, which really kind of solidifies which one you chose, whether the nightmare or the dream.
Yep.
Of course, we did both of them.
Right, because the whole theme is it's a bedroom, a small bedroom, the first thing. And the whole thing is, because there was small puzzles in there. Most of the puzzles take place in the actual room. Yes. But it's cool, of course, we got to experience each. So the puzzles are different, and the music and stuff's different depending on which actual room you're choosing to do.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a prerequisite room to get into the main escape room that you choose. Yeah. So I like the idea, that the idea that you're falling asleep and then you're either going to have your nightmare or your dream.
Right. And it's neat because, like, yeah, there's still some things that are set up in there, like, during, like, the dream time that you're like, oh, I wonder if that means that that's part of the nightmare or something like that. And same with the other one. But it is very nostalgic. It does feel like, like a childhood bedroom. Mm-hmm. You've got, like, the cute posters and some toys and things like that.
Because if you choose the... what moment? Or crap. What's the one?
Moments in Time is the dream.
Yeah, if you choose that one, like the music is more like 80s, like
very
nice, soothing kind of.
Yeah, like basically there was like a very theme to it because I believe like Fleetwood Mac was playing and like a few other like dream themed songs like 80s, 70s, 80s like rock music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the other one is more like, it seemed like it went down like a little bit more of like a, like still the dream, but like a little bit more like, I don't know, they seemed like older songs.
Yeah, I think it was like 50s music was playing.
Yeah, it seemed
a
little older, a little bit more like
it's definitely a little more ominous. Nothing gets like really like frightening until you go into the room, but like it definitely has that underlying. But so now we'll talk about the escape rooms itself. So moments in time when you get out of the first room, you're basically in, I think so it's grandparents' basement. Is that what it's so it's grandma's house. Smells like cookies when you first walk in. Like cookies or chocolate. Smells really good.
Lot of cookies in there. I wanted a cookie.
Yeah.
Hint, you should have cookies in there.
Yeah, just have fresh baked cookies for them.
Just have fresh baked cookies.
More for me. But just give me cookies, please. Somebody.
Just give me cookies. Very nostalgic in that room. Like if you've ever gone to like your grandparents' house and you go in their basement, it's always like the paneling on the walls and you got the kitschy knickknacks and like, the old-fashioned furniture. That kind of stuff. The 70s, 80s music was playing in there again.
There's like an old-fashioned record player.
Yeah, it's just very nostalgic, and it did give me like the feels because it did feel like my grandparents' house, and it does. That one does like actually. Both of them do, but they kind of change as you go.
Yeah, they evolve as you do the puzzles, which is something that also happens in the other escape rooms in the. So we've done all of them except their magicians themed one. But yeah, and I really like that because it really gives an evolution. It makes you feel like there's progression happening.
Yes.
So like there is a time where like the lights kind of get darker and there's kind of like a light show that happens and stuff like that. So that's cool. And like when you finally, I don't know exactly what happens if you fail the room, but like when you win, you get kind of like like the lights kind of do something that kind of like, I'm not going to spoil it, but it kind of like, it's a bit moving and a bit touching.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you have feelings, because that was the whole point of this room, is they even said like this room is a little bit less about being overly challenging and it's more about taking your time and kind of having an experience and kind of taking everything in and feeling nostalgic. That's kind of what this one is about, and not feeling super pressured.
Right.
And I definitely think that comes across. Not to say that the challenges are that easy, which again we'll get more of that in challenges, but yeah. So this room was really cool, and then we go over to the attic, which is kind of the opposite of everything we just said.
Yeah.
So instead of being warm and fuzzy feeling, it's isolating, it's creepy, it's very dark.
Very dark. Like, if you've ever been in an attic, like an unfinished attic at, like, your grandparents' house or any house, really, it's just got that creepy vibe, and there's crawl spaces, and you don't know what's down in there, and you're like, oh, there's probably like bats up in here and stuff like that. It just had that very like creepy, like something's gonna jump out at me kind of vibe in there.
Yeah, it did, which is cool. And also one thing, if you do the nightmare one, there's little, not real, but like candles. They're like electronic candles in the room, and you're kind of encouraged to take those over into the attic section because, again, it's very dark. And your walkie-talkie for both rooms has a little flashlight on the back.
Right. But that was very limited. And plus, we were trying to use it on certain things to find stuff. And so the candles kind of came in handy, especially if you're, like, trying to, like, read things and stuff like that. And, like, trying to do multiple puzzles at the same time. You need light source.
Because the darkness is definitely an element. Like, it's potential. Like you kind of have to work together with, like, the candles and stuff. And, like, someone needs to be holding, like, a light to solve a lot of the locks because there's not light in there like there is over in the other one. Something else that's cool that we actually forgot to write down for theming is so most escape rooms just have a giant clock in the room.
Yeah.
That has the ticking time. Well, for Grandma's house, that's like a pocket watch that's actually kind of from my grandpa, because I used to be really into pocket watches. My grandpa's into them. They're like your granddad or something might have. But then when you do the nightmare one, it's like this cool black gothic looking one. I think like the hands are like red and stuff, so it's like really cool looking.
But you have to kind of, excuse me, you have to kind of keep track of your own time. And obviously they're keeping track of it as well. But they give you this cool pocket watch. And so like every so often I'm like, hey guys, we have 10 minutes left. Or, whatever. Which, that was a really cool element that they gave us. Because then you're not like constantly looking at a clock on the wall and being like, oh God, well, how much time do we have? Oh no, so...
But some other cool theming elements that were in the attic, like, because it does feel like an attic. Like, there's a part where there's like above you where like all the like the Christmas or the different holiday decorations
and stuff, and like there's like suitcases and things, the junk you would put up in the attic,
like things like shovels and stuff like that on the wall that you might store up there. Things like that is pretty cool. The other thing they did is they let you know when you go in to like keep an eye on your peripheral vision. So, and again, I don't want to ruin any specific things, but just keep an eye on things because there's things that'll happen that you either notice or don't notice. But if you happen to notice something, like there's a couple things we would just notice at the end. We're like, did that actually happen? And kind of just play with your mind. And the audio design is very creepy.
The audio was really, really creepy. Like, you definitely, for this side, you really have to use all of your senses.
Yeah.
Obviously not with taste, but all the other senses you have to really use because there's stuff you have to see, you have to touch, you have to hear. It just was really like you were constantly on your toes for it.
So I really like that. And I think the theming overall for the attic was just really cool. So we'll go ahead and give our score for it. And for this one, we decided that the theming was pretty much equal for both ones as far as the quality goes. So we gave it a 9. We think it was very, very good. Of course, I personally like the theme of the attic a little bit more because we like the spooky things.
Right.
Obviously, our YouTube channel is 90% ghost hunting and haunted house reviews. Like, that's mainly what we do, mainly haunted house reviews. So we tend to lean towards that more. But I could definitely, I liked both of them though.
Yeah.
They were both like, I like the theme for both.
Yes.
So now we'll move on to the next category, which is Fright Level. So we will start with Grandma's house, or the grandparents' house, the moments in time.
Yeah. So it does get dark in there in some elements. Once you complete certain tasks and stuff, the lights do change occasionally. There are, fair warning to anybody who is afraid of them, but there are some clowns.
Well, not physical clowns, but there's a lot of
clowns.
There's clown-adjacent noises.
Theming, clown theming.
Yeah, we'll say that. And there is, and again, I don't want to ruin it, but there was a jump scare or two by loud sounds that happened at a certain point.
Yes.
So for the most part, this room is not scary at all, because again, it is not supposed to be scary. Right. But if you hate clowns, again, there's no physical actors, no clowns are kind of going to come in and get you. But if you hate clowns and like the idea of it and the sound, it really bothers you.
Yeah.
It might freak you out a little bit. But for the most part, this side was obviously not very scary because that's not the aim. So this one's more, that.
Right. Now, on the other hand, the attic.
Yeah, the attic, though. Now, that one is your scary one.
Yeah, so it was very dark. Like we said, we had those candles that we brought in there that helped with the lighting, even though it was still really, really dark in there.
Yeah.
There's lots of creepy noises, which change as you progress. Very disturbing themes.
Yeah,
going throughout.
I mean, there's there's a puzzle that involves like jars of like teeth and razor blades, for example.
Yeah.
It's limited on the gore, but there is a tiny bit of gore as far as like that's concerned. It's more of the suggestion of gore than actually like seeing, like, you're not going to see like mangled bodies everywhere, anything like that. So don't worry about that. I think that this even though it can be more frightening, if your kid's okay with, like, if you're doing it as a family, if you have a younger person that's okay with like creepiness, it's not like there's anything terribly vulgar or anything in there.
Yeah, no, like, there's nothing really like horrible. There is some stuff that's kind of pertaining to like hospital, asylum kind of setting. So if you get disturbed by that kind of stuff, like there's like patient records and things like that. That stuff is a little creepy.
There is and I don't want to spoil it, but there is a part of a puzzle that needs at least 2 people to go into what might be an uncomfortable space.
Yes.
That kind of involves you to be, you know, like just in a claustrophobic space, basically. So that's and again, because one of the themes of this house is kind of like facing your fears and stuff like that, and like it deals with phobias and things like that. Right. Not like insanely scary, but definitely it's more atmospheric than anything else.
Yes.
There wasn't a ton of jump scares in this one. There's a couple. But nothing made me almost poop myself like the jump scare that we had at the storm one.
Oh my gosh.
Which isn't even supposed to be that scary, but there is one of the loudest noises that I've ever heard in my life, and I screamed so much. Yeah. But it was funny though, and I'm sure they had the most fun time ever watching us on camera.
I'm sure they have it on film somewhere, and they're just not telling us about it.
Oh, that. But for this even though, because like you there's a suggestion that things can be happening. So like there's times where, like, for example, the light, like, you might be progressing through and the lights will go out and all of us run to the middle and like this because we're like waiting for something to happen. Sometimes it does.
Ran to the middle like, don't touch me.
Right. Sometimes something may happen, sometimes it doesn't, and it's not knowing when exactly something will unfold in the room, or there might be a noise or a creepy you don't know.
Yeah, and they did a really good job with timing things. So you would wait for that thing to happen, and it wouldn't happen, and you're like, oh, okay, we're in the clear. And then it would happen, and you're like, yeah, dang it. You know?
So, yeah, it was cool. But for rating-wise, we gave the fright level for moments in time a 3. Because, again, not very scary, just there's some dark moments and some stuff with clowns. Yeah. And then for the attic, we gave it a 7. So that one obviously is a lot more scary because that's, you know, its goal is to be, more creepy, I think, than just overtly, like, scary. Because, like, again, they don't make you do anything too uncomfortable.
No.
Nothing as bad as, like, if you watch our Red Door review with Annabelle, like, how they lock, like, there's all of these, like, really tiny pitch black rooms where you had nothing but to feel around for. That's really freaky for an escape room. Where this was more, like I said, just, it's more of, like, the creepy vibes. Yeah. And, like, just some, like, sound type jump scares. Mm-hmm. But, yeah. So that moves us on to our last category, which is challenge. So how hard is it?
Right. So for moments in time, there was a lot of locks and things you had to try to open.
There's like locks inside of locks inside of locks.
Was literally, like, you open a lock, you'd open it, and there would be something in there with a lock on it, and you're like, really?
Yeah.
A lot to do with, like, lights and things like that,
a lot of, like, sequencing puzzles.
Yeah, sequencing puzzles.
No hardcore math puzzles, though. That's one thing. I've done some that have, like, really, like, in-depth math puzzles. None of that here, thank God.
Yeah, thank goodness for that. You only really had to use things once, like once and done.
That's nice.
Which is nice. Like, you didn't have to be like, oh, I need that back, you know. Oh, this key that was over here, you know, we need that again.
Because it helps keep the direction clear. Because if anything can be used multiple times, then you really start, like, there's so many things in any escape room, and I've been to some that, like, you really need to use things more than once, but, like, you thought that you were done with it, but really you still need it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like, they even told us, they're like, once, like, if there's a lock that requires a key, just leave the key in there, because that's the only lock it's gonna open, so just leave it in there. And then it was very in the moment, so, like, you didn't have to use something again. It was like, once it happened, that was it. You moved on from that, whatever it unlocked or, you know, whatever sequence it did.
And the puzzle you're trying to solve is the puzzle you're trying to solve, where in some things, like you have this puzzle, but you have to solve XYZ puzzles before this puzzle can even begin to be solved.
Yeah.
Which can make escape rooms really confusing and not that much fun, where this, it's, you know, I mean, obviously you go into a room and there's multiple different locks, but once you kind of get a focus point, that's your focus point until it's time for the next puzzle kind of thing. I do think a lot of the puzzles, and again, we can't talk about any of this in depth because we don't want to spoil anything, but a lot of the puzzles I felt like were pretty creative.
Yes.
Because there's like most things in the room, when you first go in, you think that it's theming, but then upon further like looking, you're like, oh, you know, this isn't theming. Like, for example, and again, I'm not going to say what, but like there's a bunch of pictures on the wall, and at first they just look like pictures, but if you start to examine things closer, it might be more than that.
Yeah, and you always like have that. To like,
or like the knickknacks. At first they're knickknacks, but then later on in the room you might be like, oh, these knickknacks, I might need to be using them for something.
Right, yeah, and it just kind of like, after a while, you're like, wait, that doesn't seem right. Like, why is that like that? And then you find out later that you actually need it for a puzzle. So it is a very, like, very cool how they do that. With the face your fear... With the face your nightmares, again, they used a lot of lights, sequences and things like that. Lights to just kind of disorientate you and stuff like that. Sounds, again. There's numerous times where the sounds were like, oh, wait, that's doing something. Like, you know, you really have to pay attention because sometimes you'll just totally miss something. And, you know, you might not get that puzzle done if you kind of miss it.
And the room evolves, too. So, like, you really, like, sometimes things will, I'll just say, appear without your knowledge, so you have to really keep an eye open for things.
Yes.
One of the things that is definitely to note about the challenge of all of their rooms, not just these two, is that it is unlimited hints, because the goal is for them to have fun, so, you know, it depends on how experienced you are. If you want no hints, don't ask. If you are like, I don't know what I'm doing, you can just ask away, and they will help you. Because again, at the end of the day, they want you to have fun in the rooms. So ask for hints if you need them. You have a walkie-talkie, which is nice, but they can hear and, you know, see everything you're doing, obviously.
Yeah. Sometimes we would just holler. We wouldn't even use the walkie-talkie.
Be like, help me.
Be like, what do we do? And they would get on there and talk. The Face Your Nightmares did require a lot of teamwork. On some things.
There's definitely a puzzle where you have to communicate with each other to, like, figure out... It's basically a puzzle that helps you solve another puzzle kind of thing. So that was cool.
The holiday decorations, don't take them for granted.
Yeah, they were involved in a pretty cool puzzle in there. But yeah, just overall, I really like the puzzles. And I think that the attic, the Face Your Nightmares was a little bit more difficult than Grandma's house. But like I said, both of these they're pretty fair escape rooms. They're not insanely hard. I would say both of these, in my opinion, are slightly easier than the attic we did. I would put both of them similar to the first one we did of theirs, which was the Manor one. They're more on that. Because I think the Storm one they have, in my opinion, is the one that we thought was the hardest, but again, we were also a lot newer to escape rooms then.
Yeah, and that one they actually said that usually they have more than 2 people in it, and it was just the two of us.
This time we had 4, because we had our friend Isaac, who you've seen in videos, and then his fiance also came with us, so we did have 4 for these ones, which definitely made it a little bit easier, but I think you probably could do it with 2. They are smaller rooms, they're not giant rooms, so like you still can communicate easily with 2 people, but I think that, like, in my opinion, when we've done escape rooms, 4 is like the sweet spot. More than 4, things get crowded.
Yes.
Less than 4, things can be a little bit difficult. I've had the most fun every time we've done 4 people.
Yeah.
But as far as challenging, challenge score, we gave, what did we give them?
For Moments in Time, we gave them a 7.
Yep.
That's the, and then the Face Your Nightmares, we gave it an 8.
Yep, so like I said, Face Your Nightmares, just a little bit harder, and in our opinion at least, you know, you might differ, because, I mean, when it comes to challenge, everyone has a different challenge level and what confuses them, because there are multiple times we asked for hints, and after, like, we were hinted and we figured out, we're like, wow, we feel really stupid for not figuring it out. It was, like, right in front of us.
It was literally right there,
but
and I'm just like,
sometimes your brain zigs instead of zags to solve a puzzle, so...
Yes.
But the only thing left to talk about is our overall scores, which is basically how much we generally liked each room. So again, because we like the scary theming a little bit more, we personally like the Face Your Nightmares a little bit more. So Moments in Time, we gave an overall personal score of 8.5.
Yep. And Face Your Nightmares, we gave a 9.
9, yep. But I'm pretty sure that like Isaac and Cassandra, they actually liked Moments in Time a little bit more than the spooky one.
Yeah.
So again, that's going to somewhat vary on what you look for in theming, because again, I think the puzzles are both really good. I like that the Face Your Nightmares had slightly more interactive puzzles.
Yes.
In some aspects there, so that was kind of cool. But that also comes with the fact that it's, you know, it's trying to be more of a creepy room, so it's going to make you do more things to kind of creep you out and stuff like that. But I highly recommend checking it out. You know, if you could book a couple back to back, that would be worth it. We've done a lot of escape rooms, and while their escape rooms aren't super huge, they are very well thought out. The puzzles are very, very fair. They're not super aggravating. Like, they make sense in the context of the room that they're in.
Yes.
I've done some that I'm like, who could ever figure this out?
Right.
We're nothing here. There were definitely things that stumped us, don't get me wrong. But nothing, when we figured it out, was I like, that was a BS puzzle. I never felt that about any of the things that we found.
Yeah, no. I've never thought of that of any of their escape rooms. Everything has a purpose, which is good.
Everything does, and they go, you know, out of their way for attention to detail. Like there is, for just a small example, there are patient files you will find in Face Your Nightmare, and they went to the painstaking detail of like making sure they were like actual patient files of like deceased people and stuff. Also, because they're, you know, like our friends and stuff, there's also, if you notice, some nods to a name of Josh and Kim in the different rooms. They are reference to us, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, we're in the rooms. We're permanently in the rooms.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, there's just so much attention to detail and like really listening to them. Like, and so much of it are things that like the general public would never know.
Yes.
But listening to like them tell us about all of this cool stuff, and it's just like, wow, like they really went the extra mile.
Yeah.
Like
their passion is like really huge, and it's really great that they found the thing that they're really passionate about, and they're just really thriving with it.
Right, because they're both like big Disney fans and all of that stuff. They've had a haunted house before, and all of that stuff, you know, experience shows when it comes to that kind of thing. So even though it's in like a smaller town and stuff like that, don't write it off. I think that this stands up with some of the best that we've done currently. So definitely I would highly recommend driving out there, especially if you're doing things like Waldameer. It's only like, I think Waldameer is an attraction that's an hour away.
It's not far from Erie and
Waldameer,
that kind of area. So I would definitely check that out if you're looking for something like just something different to do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But thank you very much. If you like seeing us do escape room reviews, let us know in the comments. We will try and do more. We would like to do more. But yeah, I don't know. It's just hard, because the one thing about escape rooms, like haunted houses, me and her can just go. But escape rooms, we really try to get at least 2 other people to go with us, and that's what makes it harder, is getting people to go with us, and then everyone paying and stuff like that. So yeah, like I said, if you want us to try and go to more, definitely let us know, because if like these videos get more views and stuff like that, then it gives us more incentive to make them. But thank you very much for watching and or listening. Make sure you like and subscribe and leaving us a review if you're listening in podcast form. Also, Kim's favorite part, make sure you're ringing that bell. She is still currently using her ring for wine bell.
It says ring for wine. It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, when she rings it.
Kind of sad.
I don't know who would be bringing us wine. If some specter comes out of the corner down here bringing me wine, I don't know if I would drink it, but
I mean, it might be good. It's spirits.
Yeah. We should make our own wine blend.
Ooh.
Anyone out there, a little winery, who wants to help us make our own signature wine blend, let me know.
Yeah. That would be intriguing.
Actually, the first time we went to, we went to a winery beforehand. Don't get things to drink before you do an escape room. It makes them way more harder. By the time we were there, like, it was fine. But like, I have done one escape room where I had a couple of margaritas beforehand. I wasn't like, wasn't drunk or anything, but it was enough to, I'm like, this isn't fun. It made it hard to focus. So maybe don't do that. But yeah, anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.